Recognize that guy. He's looking.
Hello?
California sunshine.
All right, guess we're online.
Can you
Okay,
hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. All
Wonderful.
right. We'll start the meeting with the pledge and her. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Our Father, we just thank you again for this beautiful day and time to enjoy your creation. Lord, help us to be wise today and honor you and make wise decisions that will benefit our whole family, Lord. Thank you for your son, Jesus. We pray. Amen. Okay, Lucas is on Zoom, so he's available for comments, so guess I'll start the meeting off with any county personnel.
No, Don, come on up. You can bring a chair.
Need to bring a chair for you.
Hello, Lucas.
Hello.
Okay, first thing, I've talked to a couple of you, about the gap. I know that you got it extended. And I told you that I'm getting these notices from Blue Cross and Blue Shield about them being 6 months or farther behind processing it. And I just want to show you, here's another one I got last week. And this one said the claim was May 16th. And they're just now reviewing it to see if they're gonna do it. And we get these for my wife all the time, and we've got one from December of 24, they're still reviewing. So I cannot speed them up. So there it is in writing, so you guys can see it. That's all that's about. The extending to the end of the first quarter is going to help.
So Lucas, I went out to the dump location the other day to look at the construction, and Don had talked to me a little bit about it. And you know, I wasn't aware, I'm sure you weren't aware that the EOB, the explanation of benefits, was taking this long. I just kind of assumed it'd be like 90 days or maybe 120 days. But what Don had talked to me about is exactly what that letter he just handed us shows. His wife went to the doctor sometime in May of 2025, and they still haven't sent him an EOB. They're still looking at it. So that is a problem that I'm sure may have happened to other county employees. So we just need to be cognizant of it. I know we did, when we were looking at it, Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, we said we'd go to March 31st, thinking that obviously we'll have EOBs in by then. But anyways, I'm just commenting on what he's saying in the letter that he handed me. I was reading right now.
Got any comments, Lucas?
Well, I guess I kept thinking that there was a deadline that would work to resolve all of this. But how many of these, like this one in front of you, are still in the hopper? And what has been done in the past in this situation where if the GAP program wouldn't have been discontinued, and we're in year 26 now, would something that took place in 24, would it still be eligible? Would it have still been eligible for repayment?
I want that. I don't think we go back a whole year.
Right.
Sure though.
I'm good.
Lucas, in my situation, my wife has lots of these, and we quickly filled up that GAP program. So it wasn't an issue, but she actually got a little better and didn't have so many treatments this year. So, you know, this may be more of an issue for me, you know, because she had a lot of towards the end of the year because she wasn't doing as well.
Okay.
Well, I think if I could speak on behalf of the county, I think when we looked at it, we recognized that there was basically a betterment of the insurance that the county was offering. And we said, in the future, we're no longer going to offer that. And we thought that obviously that would clear itself up in one fiscal year. It may not. In fact, it has already went into 2026. And so we're trying to do that. We're standing by, we're doing the right thing. We extended and said, okay, we had no intention of just shutting people off by the end of the year. So hopefully we're not going to see too many more. But the bottom line is that the procedure was not done last year. In other words, if somebody's having it done this year, it's not going to be covered. It's everything from the previous year, correct, Nikki? And that's the way we're moving forward. So your procedure was done in 2025. I guess we're gonna have to take a look at. Hopefully you'll get an EOB before March 31st, and if you don't, then we'll have to address it then.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll bring it back up again.
Sure,
But
sure. And again, if you see that explanation of benefits show up in the next couple months, turn it in.
we'll do.
Okay,
Didn't intend to cut you off. I would assume every business wouldn't be that far behind. I mean, Blue Cross has a problem.
Oh, well, in my dealings, because I've had to do this every year, what her procedures are very expensive and they don't want to pay for them either. So they're dragging their feet so they don't have to
Sure.
pay for it. I understand that. That's business.
I think we can all agree that the health care is a major problem in the United States right
Right.
Yeah.
now.
Okay,
Okay,
Thank you for letting us know.
yeah. Right, I've got a couple more things.
okay.
Or bring up. Lucas, I'm bringing up the Brown County Developmental Services Bill again. This is where I guess for many years, the county has paid for their trash to be taken care of. And I said in 24 that I did not want to provide charity to them out of my budget. If the county commissioners wanted to do that, that's their business. And you said you wouldn't pay for any in 24, and I said, okay about that. But it was my understanding that you guys were gonna pay for 25. I turned in one statement for part of 25, but I have not seen any funds from that, and I've got the entire year of 25 now. And that comes to $8,721.18.
You'd be coming in there.
I did it in one of the meetings.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it, so about it.
Okay, so Lucas, what he turned in was a spreadsheet showing the charges for the number of dumps and the dates that came from. We're talking about BCDS, correct?
It was a little over $8,000.
$8,721.
All right, so what you're talking about is the 25 charges, and we did talk about all that. We did change BCDS's budget. I think we raised it by 7,500 for 26 to allow for this, where those charges will no longer be passed on. But what Don's after is in the interim here. What do we do? It escapes my memory, Don, if I said anything. I mean, what are you expecting from the commission? Are you looking for us to pay the entire amount for 25, or are you looking for a portion of it?
Well, I was hoping for the whole thing. Since I'm required to make a profit out there, I'm trying to be responsible and make the profit. Pay for the machinery.
Well, I understand what you're trying to do, and as a manager, I appreciate what you're trying to do. What the commission looks at is it's all county money, right? So how we account for that internally, we're gonna have to come up and figure out. You have every right to come in and say, hey, my budget's being affected by something that I'm expending cost on, but not getting paid for, and you've done that, and we've heard it. So I think it's one of those things where, Lucas, that we're gonna have to talk about, maybe even in a workshop session about what we do, because number one, we need to take a look at the dumpster over there also, because my experience is a lot of people use that facility to get rid of stuff that some people may not want. Now, of course, there's a lot of good stuff that gets donated, but we need to try to figure out a way that we can reduce the amount of stuff that just literally gets set off there and thrown right into the dumpster. It's a lot of stuff. And so it's not going to be resolved in just, one meeting. We got to take a look at it But internally, again, the taxpayers paid for this, whether it comes out of your budget or another budget, it's still costing the taxpayers about $8,000 a year to get rid of the trash over there.
I'm disagreeing with that statement. Because that is costing the transfer station $8,000. Because the income has to offset the expenses out there, and there's no taxpayer money used. So the taxpayers are not paying that bill.
But your budget is paid for. If you go over on your transfer station, the county has to pay for it.
I would,
Yes,
I don't know that I'm allowed to go.
well, there's gonna be years that, whether it's an equipment cost or an unforeseen cost or whatever, if you exceeded your budget and didn't bring in as much revenue, the dump isn't gonna pay for it, the taxpayers of Brown County. So all I'm saying is, we gotta look at the whole problem. We appreciate you bringing this, and we'll figure it out, but obviously you've done a good job of tracking it, so it's not gonna be too hard to figure out what the costs are.
Well, and the nice thing too is the way we've set the budget up for 26 is we're not talking about the problem in the future. We're just going to look from January 1 on back into 25 here, because this thing takes care of itself. Richard, you said something about the amount of trash going in the dumpster. Our hope as a commission, or at least my hope, I'll speak for me, was that by budgeting for this cost in the money we give to BCDS, now that they pay their own bill, hopefully that will encourage BCDS to take measures or to do what they can to limit that trash, in quotes, that stuff that's used for a dumpster, and they'll police that a little bit since it's their own money now, instead of just dumping it and then the county picks it up.
Right.
The cost.
Yeah, I know if you go to other agencies outside the county and donate, there's a strict rules on what they will and will not accept to prevent a lot of the oversized furniture and stuff that can't be, sold or in poor condition. So
this does lead to a fairly, a natural question. So we are in 26. Everything is different now. When BCDS brings a load of material to the transfer station, Dawn, what is the procedure now that now that they're paying their own bill? Do we have that set, or do we need to be looking into making those arrangements?
I was not aware that they were going to pay their own bill.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, as part of the budget process, Don, we increased their allotment from whatever it was, and we did it by last year's. I think the numbers you gave us for 2024 was around $7,600, and so we added that much to their budget, and so that and I was very upfront with the director about what we were doing there, and so that now they will be paying for their own dumping charges.
Okay, I believe that we are still donating it to them on our books as of today.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, that's my fault for not getting that out, or getting out in front of that. So then now that we know that, we need to make the change, because I certainly don't want to pay the bill twice.
So Don, if I could ask Lucas, Don, how often is it? Once a week, a dumpster?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen 2 dumpsters possibly this year.
Probably.
Okay, so it looks like we can correct it. We've only had a couple, but going forward, whoever is bringing that out, you're gonna have to notify them. In fact, we could notify BCDS as well that, hey, when you go in there, you're gonna have to sign a ticket. Are they signing for it now?
No.
Okay, so in the future,
They may be.
if you can let Heather know, especially that, and then she can tell the driver that they need to sign for it, and they'll start getting a bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want me to send the bill to BCDS?
Correct.
Right.
However you normally do
We'll do
your
it.
billing out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that'll include the first 2 or the first 1, whatever they've done in January.
Yeah, it's normally on Mondays, so there'll probably be one there today.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Thanks, Sarah. Okay.
Do you have anything else?
One other thing, being on salary and I'm doing the two positions that are combined. I am, and I always have, put in way more than 40 hours a week. And I've decided I want to resign my duties as emergency manager and just commit my time out to the transfer station. And I'd like that to be effective February 13th.
I was just looking at payroll here because I was just looking at the transfer station and stuff before we got here. So obviously you're working for two, you're receiving a check from two different,
Yes. Well, it's one check, but it comes out of,
Two different
I don't know,
funds.
something like half and half.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
I think that's the way it's been.
so you don't want to give us 2 weeks?
Well, the 13th is,
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw February, I'm thinking January, and I'm thinking you're resigning as of March.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no, it's a month.
okay, that's,
And I'm flexible on that. If
okay.
you don't think that's long. I thought it would be.
And who was doing that position before you were doing it?
Trying to think what his name, James Stewart,
So how long have you been in that position?
6 years.
6 years. Okay. Well. We appreciate your 6 years of service on that.
yes. Well,
Anything else to say on that?
no, I guess we need to be looking for. And, so how many hours do you think you've been putting in total? Is the emergency manager a full-time job or a half-time job?
It depends on what's going on in the world,
Well,
you know.
over the whole year, what was the average about? Maybe.
I can keep busy full-time doing emergency management. Because there's a lot of training to it, and that's what it's about. A huge part of emergency management is what's called a local emergency operations plan. And that's like 1,200 pages long, and it's on a computer, and they are on their third program revision now, changing companies, and it's just too complicated for me to keep up with. I'm not a stupid person, but there's no logic to that program, and I don't want to go through another.
So you did this before. You also used to do emergency management, I believe, in Nebraska. Is that correct? Or were you not doing it there?
No.
So when you came here, it was all new.
Yes.
So is there a reason that the emergency management isn't done out of the sheriff's department?
It's not law enforcement.
I realize it's not law enforcement, but it kind of goes hand in hand with if there was a major emergency in the county, the sheriff's department is going to be the first responders, correct?
Or fire department.
Or fire department,
Usually,
right.
you know, that's
Okay,
kind of the backbone is fire departments. And you try to get somebody that's not law enforcement because fire departments a lot of times resent that and don't want to work with them. So that's why you get an outsider that's not connected into both. They work better together.
okay, well, we'll have to take a look at
Yeah.
how we go forward, but we appreciate it. Understand why it's a lot of hours, it looks like.
So Dawn, that changes the transfer station's budget quite a bit if we're gonna pull that half of your salary out. Or you've looked at the books, and I guess I've seen the same numbers. Does that change anything as far as, you know, the year on? I guess we just started the budget year. What's it gonna look like this time next year? Do we need to make any adjustments out at the transfer station to accommodate that increased pull from those resources?
I expect that my pay is going to go down because I'm not doing so much. And I don't know what that'll be to figure it. I figured you guys would set that. So, but I will look at it knowing that it's gonna be a lot more coming out of there.
Okay.
Where it stands. I had not looked at that.
Okay, and then the second question, so at one time, I remember seeing some information about statutorily required functions of county government. And I believe emergency management was on that list. Do we know that for sure? Is that position required by law? Or is that a position that came about during, you know, or for just for some reason, and are we legally required to have that?
You're required by Kansas state statute to have one.
Okay, there you go. Easily.
Same with noxious weed. It's a,
It doesn't have to be full-time, but you have to have it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else from me?
no, obviously we'll be talking to you in the next month a lot more.
What the building thing? Was it building the complete or what was the?
So now you're talking about the building with the contractor.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went out and met with Don last week and showed him a couple of things that need to be finished before they get paid. One of them, well, we don't need to go into it right now, but I've also talked with Beebe Brothers and they have to get these items repaired. They can also resubmit their last invoice to include everything but 10%. And that would get them a progress payment, but that's up to them. When I talked to them last week, they didn't want to do that.
Okay,
So-
so hold the day off.
Okay, well, obviously they're not communicating because there's work that still needs to be done. Heck, we have painting that hasn't even been completed out there and inside the office. It's still bare wood.
So I see a letter from Don on the 6th of January saying that's been completely fulfilled. That's no longer the case.
It has not.
Okay. All right.
It has not. So. Again, I will go talk with them again after the meeting and I took some pictures that I can clearly give them. And Nikki, I appreciate you trying to get them paid as quick as possible, but they also have a contract that they have to fulfill.
We. That would let it go on.
Well, the day that I went and visited them, they said that everything was done.
Yeah, I asked. Him that.
Right. Right. So, Lucas, if you can hear, I went and spoke directly to the owner.
Uh-huh.
And the day I was there, he said, "Oh, and everything is getting done right now." And I said, "So when I go back out there, this stuff should all be completed." He said, "Yes." I waited 3 days and I went out and met with Don and we walked around and there are clearly things that still have not been completed.
Okay.
The county is not going to release 100% of their contract until all items are done.
Okay.
Some of them would require, if they were not done, the power company would require us to do some things that were not done to code. And that would cost the county, and I'm not gonna allow that. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
So, okay,
Any more on that?
No. Fine with it.
very good.
All right.
And thank you for coming in. No, we'll be talking with you, I'm sure, a lot more.
Okay.
Okay. So it's 1:23. I have 7 minutes before the newspaper bid opening, so we move on to the minutes. Is there any comments on the minutes from last meeting?
I do not have any comment on the minutes. I went through them and reviewed them, but they appear accurate.
Is there a motion to approve? Do you have any comments, Lucas?
I don't, and I'd make a motion. We approve the minutes from January 5th.
Okay, it's been moved, excuse me, been moved that we approve the minutes from January 5th. Is there a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next thing on the agenda is commission chairman motion. I make a motion to nominate a chairman for 2026. I guess it's how we'll do it. But
Yeah, we already nominated Lucas, correct?
There was one motion, but I discussed it.
Yep. There has not been a motion, or there was?
There are not.
Okay, well, did you make a motion already to nominate somebody?
No,
What would that be?
I called for a motion.
Okay, well, I'd make a motion to nominate Lucas Heinen to be the chairman again for the 2026 fiscal year.
Is there a second to that? I don't want to railroad anybody into jobs.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we appoint Lucas Heinen as chairman for 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Sometimes we call for nominations 3 times, but since there are only 3 of us, I guess we won't do that. All right. So does that take care of it, or we need to?
Let's just approve the resolution with the chairman. The 26th.
I'm having trouble finding the right place on here.
That's,
How far back is it?
it's at the beginning, actually. No, it's underneath.
All this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's after this is,
There it is.
there we go,
Right there,
right
yeah.
there. So you had resolution number 1, and then of course the resolution number 2 was, sorry, that was a separate one. But we're talking about 2026-01.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to approve that. So resolution number 2026-01 is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, Brown County, Kansas, to appoint a chairman for the Brown County Commission for 2026. That reads, whereas the Brown County Commissioners desire to recognize and appoint a chairman, and whereas the motion was made in the past to appoint Lucas Heinen as chairman for 2026, now therefore be it resolved that the Brown County Commissioners sitting in regular session this 12th day of January 2026 do hereby appoint Lucas Heinen as chairman in 2026, effective the 12th day of January 2026. And we've done that, so we'll sign that resolution. Is that appropriate?
Did you hear that, Lucas?
I did. Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, very good.
Is that here someplace?
A motion in a second to adopt resolution.
I guess if we need to do the process, I would make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-01.
Okay, I would second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed.
Bill, you second. You did second.
Yeah. Okay, take care of.
Okay, it looks like we got a couple minutes, correct?
The next one is the checking
It's this one right here, the resolution
number.
2.
Okay. Resolution number 2026-02 is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, Brown County, Kansas, to designate checking, investment, and depository banks for 2026. And the resolution reads, whereas Brown County does business with various banks, and whereas it is necessary to designate checking and investment banks, now there be it resolved that the Brown County Commissioners sitting in regular session this 12th day of January 2026 do hereby designate the Citizen State Bank, UMB Bank, Hiawatha Branch, the GN Bank, Farmer State Bank, First Option Bank, Union State Bank, and the State of Kansas Municipal Investment Pool as checking and investment banks for Brown County, effective the 12th day of January 2026. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I would make a motion to designate checking, investment, and depository banks for 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved. One more minute.
1:30.
All right, so at 1:30 we have bid openings for the official newspaper.
Ready to go.
I have two bids, one from the Horton Headlight and one from the Hiawatha World. Right. So. Hiawatha World. Thank you for opportunity to submit a bid from the Hiawatha World. Please review the following information that we are submitting. Cost per column H, $3. No additional cost for affidavits. Circulation 657. Legal ad deadline Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Column width is 1.6 inches. Other size and information available on the press.
Okay. Did you hear that, Lucas?
I did.
Okay.
Your voices, they carry very well, just so you know.
This is from the Horton Headlight. Dear Commissioners, the Horton Headlight, circulation 650, hereby submits a bid of $2.20 per column H for legal advertising published by Brown County in 2026. We are offering this as a discount rate along with free affidavits. Type size is 9 point and else designated otherwise. Deadline each week for legal submissions is 8 a.m. on Tuesdays, if notified by noon on Monday, with exception of holidays. If accepted, we will honor this rate until an official paper is designated in 2027. Signed by Dwight Fuller. All right, so we have two bids. Basically, $3 a column inch and $2.20 per $2.20 per column inch.
Did you get that, Nikki? Do you need any other information? Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion to accept the low bid. Or we just need to read a resolution and. Wait, so
Headlight.
I would move that the Horton Headlight be the official county paper in 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the Horton Headlight be designated as official county paper for 2026. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. So the resolution reads, whereas the legal newspaper, this is resolution number 2026-3. Resolution of the Brown County Commissioners, Brown County, Kansas, to designate a legal newspaper for 2026. Whereas a legal newspaper needs to be designated for Brown County for the year 2026, and whereas the aim of Brown County is to inform the public of all important issues and legal notices, and whereas the Horton Headlight was a low bid, now therefore be it resolved that the Brown County Commissioners sitting in regular session this 12th day of January 2026 do hereby designate the Horton Headlight as a Brown County legal newspaper and will also publish notices in the Hiawatha World to ensure the transfer of information to the public. Dated this 12th day of January 2026. Motion to pass this resolution.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 2026-03.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass resolution number 2026-03, dealing with the official legal newspaper for Brown County. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed.
Yes, I saw that. I was thinking ahead, Nikki.
Let's see. What have you done? All right.
We have somebody coming. Lucas, I don't know if you saw, we have somebody coming in at 1:45 also.
Okay.
So we need a resolution to approve the. We passed this, right?
That's 2026-02. That was passed. That just needs signatures, correct?
Okay.
That's
Yes.
the back one.
You're at resolution number 4.
Okay. Resolution number 2026-04 is resolution affecting the employee personnel policy. It reads, resolution of the Brown County Commissioners, Brown County, Kansas, to approve any changes to the effective personnel policy and salary and wage structure for 2026. Whereas Brown County desires to update the employee personnel policy and salary and wage structure for the year 2026, and whereas the employee personnel policy has been updated with 2026 holidays, insurance insurance policy, premiums and coverage, employee and employer share of capers, premiums, and an updated pay scale. That was the same. Now therefore be it resolved that the Brown County Commissioners, sitting in regular session this 12th day of January 2026, do hereby approve the 2026 employee personnel policy as written and salary and wage structure. Is there a motion to approve this? Is
I'll move we adopt resolution 2026-04.
there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Okay. We got a few minutes left. Resolution number 2026-05 deals with the gap waiver resolution, which is an accounting procedure. So resolution number 2026-05 for Brown County of Brown, State of Kansas, the gap GAAP waiver resolution. And it reads as whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Brown County, Kansas has determined that the financial statements and financial reports for the year ending in December 31, 2026 to be prepared in conformity with the requirements of KSA 75-1120A Part A are not relevant to the requirements of cash basis and budget laws of this state and are of no significant value to the county commissioners of the members or the members of the general public of Brown County. And whereas there are no revenue bond ordinances or other ordinances or resolutions of the county which require financial statements and financial reports to be prepared in conformity with KSA 75-11-20A Part A for the year ending December 31st, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Brown County, Kansas, in regular meeting duly assembled this 12th day of January 2026, that Brown County requests the Director of Accounts and Reports to waive the requirements of KSA 75-1120A Part A as they apply to Brown County for the year ended December 31, 2026. That further resolved that Brown County shall cause the financial statements and financial reports of Brown County to be prepared on the basis of cash receipts and disbursements as adjusted to show compliance with the cash basis and budget laws of the state. Adopted this 12th day of January 2026 by the Board of Brown County Commissioners. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-05, the gap waiver resolution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 2026-05, the gap waiver resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Appoint a public health officer. We got time?
Got 5 minutes.
Or do you have something?
Not right now.
Okay. Resolution number 2026-06, Brown County Commissioners. A resolution appointing Brown County Health Officer. It reads as, whereas KSA 65-201 requires the appointment of a county health officer who shall perform the duties and responsibilities statutorily prescribed for the office and who shall serve in an advisory capacity to the County Board of Health. And whereas Melanie Mears is a registered nurse for the Brown County Health Department as a qualified local health program administrator, she is a qualified person to be appointed as a Brown County Health Officer. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of the Brown County, Kansas, that Melanie Mears is appointed to serve the Brown County Health Officer to be effective January 12th, 2026, upon taking the oath of office and posting bond as required by the KSA 65-202. Adopted this 12th day of January 2026 by the Board of County Commissioners of Brown County, Kansas. Is there a motion to approve the resolution appointing the Brown County Health Officer, Melanie Mears?
I move we adopt resolution number 2026-06.
Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 2026-06. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed.
Environment, says board.
Environmental resource.
Environment, so this is bad, somebody around.
You got that?
Yeah. So I would make a motion that we appoint Melanie Mears to the Northeast Kansas Multnomah County Health Department.
I would second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 145.
Okay,
You like to come up? Hi Larry, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
okay. Mr. Raider,
Mr. Raider is correct.
I-
You're doing good.
I never know how to pronounce that spelling. But that's what we always thought was. And, been in business a long time.
That's 44 years.
Nope. And before that is what, South Seneca?
Yeah, it was in K-State.
Huh?
I was in grad school at K-State.
Okay,
We moved up a little bit and didn't get our documents in for the Kansas historical.
NRP, yeah, Neighborhood Revitalization Fund.
Well, let's see if I get some help on that. If there's any way we could, I should put it in a little bit.
Lucas, can you hear Mr. Raider?
I can hear him.
Oh,
Lucas is, he's on Zoom,
I look this,
and I don't know if you know
yes.
Lucas or not. So, I was looking over this earlier today. And, I can't speak for the other commissioners. But, the idea of the neighborhood revitalization plan is to get people to invest in this county. And to, actually want to build here or improve existing buildings here and not go to another location. For instance, not build that building maybe in Mountain City, but build it here in Hiawatha. So, as you know, the old plan ended. It was a 10-year plan, and now the new plan is going into effect, and we've adopted some new things. One of the things that I would add to Mr. Rader's request is when you have a deadline to a hard deadline to submit within a plan, you take a look at why is that deadline there? And the deadline is there because you don't want somebody going in and building on something and doing improvements that we can't go in afterwards and ascertain what's been done. But in this case, this is a brand new building. It wasn't there. So whether or not he applied for it the first week of December or the first week of November, he hasn't taken occupancy of this building. So clearly, the appraiser of Brown County is going to be able to go in and say, this building is appraised at X amount. And they're going to come to an agreement of what the valuation is. And then when he takes occupancy, that NRP would be starting at the time he takes occupancy and starts paying taxes on it, correct? I have a problem with saying, well, we're not going to accept this because it didn't meet a certain date, and that certain date is there, so we can determine what has been done. That's just my feeling on it.
So I have a sort of a statement to kind of supplement and support that. So in regards to how we structure this, the whole point of the neighborhood revitalization program is to provide the benefit for people that are reinvesting in the community. And this is a significant investment in the county, right? And so,
County assessors.
yeah, I know. I'm the county councilor, thank goodness. But it's a significant investment. And there should be some recognition of that in the way that we structure the policy, particularly for new. Okay. So if I'm looking at a new structure that's happened, it's different on a used structure. Okay. Or something that we're remodeling, because then we don't have a date and time. We don't know what it was before. Really and truly, you want to look at it and have the notice beforehand so that they can inspect throughout that period of time. But on something that's new, you're valuing that based off of what was done. That's new construction. There's no reason not to allow this to happen in effect when that happens. Okay. When that valuation happens. So there's different points in time. I'm going to put on the hat for a minute of, hey, if you're 70% complete at the end of the year, there may be some tax that's assessed to that. And then the next year you hit 100% completion and there's some assessment that happens on that. If we've got a property that's underway, that's 70% complete, new construction, and our policy says 10 years tax abatement and there was some work, I understand there was some work to even file by the end of the year, but it wasn't quite complete yet, right? Then there is some tax liability that goes with having a 70% complete structure, right? And so the idea of having the abatement attach, and maybe that's the first year, it's kind of a happy medium. You're not making money off of it, so it's a commercial property, but they're usually valued at the income approach. But when they're in construction, I'm going to sound like a lawyer tax person. My mother did this for 30 years for Sedgwick County, so forgive me. I grew up with all this. So then that may just count as the first year of tax abatement. So that way you've got year one of tax abatement, and then you've still got 9 years left when the property's complete. And that meets the intent of what we're trying to do. We're trying to reward reinvestment in the community. We're trying to offset some of the cost associated with reinvestment. So if it's a 10-year benefit, allowing someone like what happened here for the application at 70 or 80% complete, count that as the first year and then let the 9 years after that function. Okay. Or however long that benefit lasts within the neighborhood revitalization plan. I don't. It's not consistent with that. I don't think. Oh, yeah, 75% for 5 years. Is that right? Yeah, but I knew that it wasn't. I knew that there was some timing that was consistent. We haven't approved the new plan yet. I think maybe, and we can't do this for everybody. We might want to go. We might want to make an amendment under the new plan to sort of. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that makes good sense. I'm just thinking about here, we don't want there to be a technical that prevents something that's new from. The other thing, though, that becomes, Nikki, I'm trying to remember, is our plan just for the county or is it for everybody, all the other jurisdictions? Okay. But are there other participating jurisdictions that agree to the tax abatement, or is it just us? Okay. That's what I'm asking. And because then this would have to go back. See, we have a plan that's kind of like our authorizing ability. So we could maybe make an exception, right? But we have to make sure Hiawatha stays on that page too. So if we were to make an exception, we'd want to make sure that everybody made the similar exception.
Right.
Right. But you do have a plan that's adopted. It doesn't have that flexibility. And Nikki, I don't think we have that flexibility in this plan, the way that it's set up. I think. Yeah, I don't think we have that. So. Yeah.
Was that on new construction?
But I don't know. I think finding a happy middle here where it comes up with some level that allows this to happen. And it's not just we dealt with this over in Nemaha a bit where we had some new construction that wasn't hitting the timeline. It's not just because you're one of the largest businesses in town. It's not. It's also, yeah, but also making an exception isn't just because you're one of the largest businesses in town, right? Right. The idea is we're trying to, if you were doing just a remodel and there hadn't been proper notice to see what the valuation was throughout, then we wouldn't have a proper basis for what the original value was versus the improved value. But on this is new construction. And so being new construction, we know what the value is. And so that's where we get back to. Now, the question is what level of completion happened by December 31st and what gets applied. We don't have to get into all those fine details right now, but I think allowing for this to hit the tax rolls, and I'm glad to know it's a 5. How long is the abatement, Nikki? Yeah, under the previous plan. Yeah. I think allowing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But that 75% abatement for 5 years, I think we could try to find some way to make that happen. There's nothing that says that particularly we as the county couldn't find a way to do some type of an abatement. that would accomplish that. And then if Hiawatha were to agree, I think we'd be 100% squared away. So,
Yeah, the reason I stated what I stated is because if you look at, again, when you're looking at something that is new construction, you can clearly define what the appraised value is. I think that we need to be able to within ourselves, we need to be able to say, hey, there was a mistake made on a timeline, but even if there was I don't want to just automatically disallow everybody that misses the date. And the reason I'm kind of saying that is I don't feel that in the past, I don't feel that we did a good job of getting the information out there. And one of the things that we talked about, the commissioners have talked about is this new plan is making sure that that information is out there. It's out there. Everybody understands what the rules are, and we do a better job of explaining it to people like you that want to come in and build it. Now, we also don't want to open ourselves up to where everybody doesn't follow the plan and they come in and say, well, we know that you let this one new building slide, so we didn't turn in the paperwork on time either. Even if that means that we had to look at the plan and say that when paperwork doesn't get turned in timely on new construction, then there's some sort of a penalty. Therefore,
yeah.
People are trying to get it in by that date. That's all I'm saying. I haven't talked to the other commissioners about it. Obviously, this just came up on this meeting, but that's my feeling that we need to take a look at on new construction.
And I mean, for me, where I'm at with it, again, I'm just sort of sitting on the sidelines here and looking at it, but I don't think you want to be so strict with it that you disincentivize new construction. Like here, we've got new construction that went in that's going to have a commercial benefit and there's sales tax that gets driven off of that. Like but at the same time, even if this was a new residential build, having some flexibility there that says this is when you can get the money back. And maybe there is a penalty. I was thinking whether it's partial for that year, what it is, or maybe there's a one less year. But doing something that allows for the benefit to still move forward to incentivize the construction, I think that's good economic development.
So my question is, do we use the 2025 plan or that new plan?
I think there was technically an application at the end of
In 2025, right?
and when's your construction done? Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. Keeps getting drug out. The electrician, the plumbers just got started. So hopefully by May.
So maybe what we could do is we could say, look, with the new plan, I don't know exactly. I need to review it in depth because they're long. Okay. But we could say, hey, there's been for new construction, if it's turned in at or before the completion date. Okay. And the completion date's in that calendar year, that's when the benefit will start. Okay. Usually if you're doing non-new construction, you want to look at it, like I've said 2 or 3 times now, at the beginning of construction. But now what we're saying potentially is maybe this is under the 26 plan. And we say, look, for new construction, provided you can show what the value of the construction was and there's availability to appraise it. For new construction, you can turn it in at or before the time of completion and be under that year's plan. That might be an exception that would work, and you could do that under the 26 plan that hasn't been adopted yet and move it in that direction. So that would solve it.
I agree.
Yes, sir. That would also solve it for anyone that's got new construction.
Well, one of the problems I also have with it is coming from a construction background. You start these projects in faith and I don't think it's as bad out here.
Yeah.
Because of conditions outside the owner's control, these projects have drug on and drug on and drug on, whether it's labor agreements or material, problems or whatever.
Yeah.
And so people are going to enter into this in a good faith and say, yeah, this project's going to be done within, 16 months or 17 months. And then the next thing you know, it's 3 years. And if we start disallowing because the project isn't completed within that certain time frame on new construction, or at least I think we need to have an avenue that we can look at each instance and determine, is it outside the person's control or not.
Agreed, state statute.
Yeah, and again, Larry, we are governed, I mean, we have to follow the state statutes. We're not sitting here going, we're absolutely going to approve this or not approve it. I'm just saying we need to talk about it because this is an example of what's gonna continue to happen. When we're working with these deadlines or these dates.
I appreciate you bringing it up and bringing up.
I guess, fellas, excuse me there, just looking here and listening to what you said, I see it really as like a two-part type scenario. Number one, do we approve it? Because if you look under our work session file, Nikki put in there, we have our 2016 NRP plan. If you go to page 5 of that plan, which is section B, there is a process to do this, and it's fairly ambiguous. And I guess I need to state too that the purpose of the NRP is to stimulate new development and construction, and to get people and business owners to spend money here, to make Brown County, I mean, for lack of a better term, just a better place to be, more prosperous, more progressive. So we all know the intent of this program. However, there are some rules and regulations. And it says here, number 1, B1 is secure the building permit, which he did. But this number 2 is the catchy one. And this is the part that gets a lot of folks, is prior to the commencement of construction. So complete that application and everything. But if you go on down to the application, which is in the drop box, it's just item number 3 there, the current application. It really doesn't state anything about filling this out before you complete or you start construction. So there's a communication gap there. And I guess I could make an argument probably both ways on this two-part question. Do we accept it? And then the second part is, under what program do we accept it? I guess I would state publicly here that I think we need to make some sort of exception, some sort of allowance for this. But Richard, you mentioned it, what kind of box do we open up here for projects in the past? I mean, I can think of 1 or 2 off the top of my head. The owners or developers didn't apply for this. And how do we accommodate? I mean, is it because this building, the construction is not complete? Is that the way we can get through this? As commissioners, we have some authority. I think we can do that. But I just want to think and really lay out, before we make any hard decisions, the unintended consequences of doing something like this. I want to stimulate the economy in Brown County, and I want to work with a guy who wants to spend $2 or $3 million, on a business in Hiawatha. That's a pretty big chunk. But I want to do it in a way that is, I guess, legal, ethical, and doesn't leave, some people, I guess, in a bad spot. Like, darn it, I didn't fill it out either, but I'm not able to get an exception. So a lot of words. The application process, I think, is sort of nebulous. It's sort of confusing, but we can work on that with a new one. And then I guess I just want to, restate that the purpose of the plan is to do just what the business owner in this case did. And I'd like to see if there's a way we can get behind it. But I'm just not sure how we do it in a way that doesn't have long-term consequences of things that we really can't foresee.
Okay. We have a 2 o'clock hard on team, right? Okay. Thank you, Lucas. No,
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so my thoughts are that the law says it's for revitalization, not necessarily new construction, but we've kind of accepted that and saying most of our county needs to be revitalized. And then I was thinking that, so in the past, when you had everything in your business was success, every time you change the assessment laws and take something off, somebody else has to make up for that. So when we go from a lot of small businesses in the county that were assessed for everything to a few big businesses that are assessed and some of their equipment is not assessed, then that me, that business has to, looking at the amount of taxes you're paying now seems huge, but it covers like for 40 employees. And so you spread that over 40 employees, and it's not too much different than if you were had an individual business. And you had to pay what I'd have to pay for my taxes for my business. So I don't think, that's just my comments, and I'll drop it at that. I appreciate what Lucas says, and I think we'll move on and discuss it more.
Yeah, we're gonna have to,
Yeah, I understand.
okay, and I'm sorry, we're up against it.
No.
I deadline, but I appreciate you coming in.
Good day.
Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is Kevin Kinsley.
Actually, Nisley,
Nisley?
just nine.
Nisley.
No. I talked to Richard a little bit about the theater and trying to get a grant. And I've talked to the Kansas Historical Preservation Office down in Topeka. And they said that I can be the grant administrator for whoever owns the building. And what's interesting is I was told that the city owns, we're talking about the municipal auditorium.
All right, okay.
That the city owns it. And then I was told that the Brown County Historical Society owns it. Then I was told that the county owns it. I'm not sure. And I'm assuming that the county owns it.
Maybe we should make it city owns it, but yes, my understanding. Well, my understanding, the county owns it.
You're just pushing off the insurance over to them. That's why. What I've done is I've written some grants. And when I talked to Darby down at the state, she said that what I need to do is get a letter from you guys stating that, yes, the county owns it, and in turn, that I could be the grant administrator. And that would just allow me to fill the paperwork out, submit it. And what we're looking at are two things: the lighting as well as the seating. As you well know, if you've ever been in the auditorium, the seats are not as wide as human beings are now. We've kind of grown a little bit. And so I've asked them about seating, and they said it depends. You could do a tax. What's the program called? Sorry, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, it's like tax reimbursement, tax.
Tax increment financing.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
What'd you say?
Tax increment financing, it's called TIF.
Okay.
And so it could be done that way, or it could be done as a grant. If it's done
Like a grant.
TIF,
Uh-huh.
if it's done as a TIF, then we have to leave 2 rows of seats in the auditorium
Oh, okay.
for historical purposes. And
Uh-huh.
I said, well, even as a grant, I want to leave some seats in the auditorium for historical purposes, because they're the original seats from 1920. If you've ever been in there, they told me that there's 400 seats. That's what they counted. 200 are broken. And so my desire is to, and by the way, we are with a new group, Hiawapi Community Theater.
Okay.
We are a 501c3 now, effective last October. And so we would like the commissioners to write a letter so we can put it with all of our grants that we're applying for. And in turn, all that goes into we've already got a quote for lighting, which is about $70,000.
So that's for spotlighting or just general lighting
That's
for everything?
everything. That includes out in the audience, pipes for lighting there for front of the stage.
instead of the strip lights. And we have to have a local electrician, which is included in the budget, to remove the light switches. That's the only way the lights can be turned on, the stage lights can be turned on and off, are light switches on the wall. There's no dimmers or anything. So, the new system that we have are all LED lights. And they're built in with dimmers. So we don't have to get the huge dimmers on the wall or anything like that. So we can get rid of the light switches. So.
So is that building does it fall under any historical?
It is, it's a national register.
Okay, so if it's a national register, doesn't anything that happen or have to fall within period correct? Or you have to get their approval? In other words, if you do modern stuff to a historical building, a lot of times I know that can affect its status on the registry.
One of the things, well, the lighting has to be done, be that as it may. And so the seating will go into this office, the SHPO, and then for their approval, which they said there will be no problem because other theaters in the state have done that before. Like Salina has done it. They have an old theater as well there. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't, all of the quotations and everything would go to them for approval prior to us applying for a grant.
I have a question.
I got an answer.
Okay.
If not, I'll make it up.
All right. So, in my other life, because I do not do government full time, I do quite a bit of public-private partnership development. Okay. And right now you're bringing up a good point. We just expanded our historical tax credit program in the state of Kansas to provide 40% matching tax credits to the state, to the federal 20%. Okay. That's 60% of the overall project equity cost. All right. On top of that, now that gets financed at about 75 to 80 cents combined on the dollar. So you've got about 50% of the project equity. Then you've got the project building that goes into that, which is another 15 to 20% of it. So you're looking at potentially a renovation budget where you're trying to come up with 20% of the overall money to match the historic credits that you get. Okay. So those are things, if you're working with the state or the state historic tax credit office, there's a program designed for communities our size, right? That is directly aligned with this. All right. Now we get into, Richard, so many. It's like doing a HUD situation. Okay. So there's crap that attaches to it. But the reality is that this is something that if we're doing let's say the community theaters that's there, if you're doing a project and you're trying to revitalize that portion and there's maybe even some dual use of it, okay, like there's maybe a couple places that you could have for an office or something like that, your numbers get awfully close to working. And they have special money bots that are set aside under the state for counties or cities under 50,000 to come up with the budget. So if I had a better understanding of what that budget is, right, what we think the overall improvements would be, and you only want to do this once. So you look at the facility, we probably need to do like a needs assessment to see what's the roof and all those things, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, what needs to be done to bring it up to speed. If this is going to be our potential renovation project, because you're not going to do a whole ton of them. You're not going to redo the entire downtown. There's not enough money in the state budget to do that. Okay. But if the idea is to go after and try to do this or maybe this in one other building, it may make some sense to do it now. That tax credit's only going to be available for the next 24, 36 months from what I understand. So this is kind of a special time.
I haven't heard a question yet.
My question is,
Sorry.
is that what you're trying to do? Are you just trying to do some lights or are you trying to make it renovated? That's my question.
My idea is that the building itself is in great shape, I think.
Okay.
I'm not a person that really knows the building and stuff like that, but I'm just saying that in order for us to. One of the things that Gary Shear said, he said, Kevin, we want to bring in acts from like they do at the casino. And I said,
Yeah.
well, I agree, we could do that, but we don't have the lights or the seating. I don't, and so if we had the lights and the seating, yes, we could start bringing those in.
So, and that's okay. See, that tells us what the project is, because it doesn't have to be a huge project. Like usually people use these historic tax credits to redo entire buildings. But now you're talking about redoing a portion of the building. Now, if you're opening up parts of it, you may have to redo parts of the bathroom to come up with ADA compliance, but you need that anyway. So what I'm saying is that if the overall building is good and you're trying to do seating and lighting, this may come up with 70% of your project cost by applying for these historic tax credits. And in Kansas, they're pretty flexible on how you use them. All right. You'd have to get with a consultant on that. All right. But if let's say your whole project is $300,000, all right, let's say that's your whole project. You may only be looking for $60,000 of grant money or supporting money because the other 60 or 70,000 will come from the state.
Let me ask you, can you not duplicate, but can you get grant money with the tax?
Potentially, yes.
What is potentially yes?
Depends on what the program parameters are. I don't know yet. Depends on where your grant's coming from.
Right.
Right. But like in Wichita, I'm helping with their homelessness project. We combined 5 different levels of grant to fund a portion of it. Okay. So you may get that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
You may get a certain portion of that. You may also have a portion of it that's like, there's not a lot of tax on that building right now. Okay. You upgrade it, there may be some more tax, but that tax increment financing, it's not. It's
by the county, it should be in fact.
yeah, there isn't tax because we don't use it for a commercially beneficial purpose. But if we start leasing it out, even as a county, then we may have to pay some tax on it eventually. So if we start leasing it out and making money off of it versus covering our expenses, like Century 2 in Wichita, that's city or county owned and it's a taxable event. So, yeah.
So my one question I'd have is, yes, the county owns the building, but the Historical Society runs the building, correct?
That's right.
And it's part of their budget, and is that how it's working? Okay, but what I'm getting at is they have a board, and Gary is the president of that board, is that
Right,
correct?
Correct.
So you've talked to Gary before you've talked to us?
Gary asked me to go ahead and do the grades. That's what I'm saying.
So what you're trying to do, your vision with lighting and with seating, historical board is already involved with, and they approve.
And we're talking to them tomorrow about what, to let them know where we've gone with this.
Okay, well,
So,
I think, what you're asking for is a letter from the board or from the commissioners, and commissioners, obviously, you need to talk with Gary first, and then Gary needs to come in and talk with us and tell us
That's what he wants.
before we just do a letter.
that's fine.
And then obviously we want to have a little bit more discussion on what's involved. Lucas, do you agree with that? Or normally Lucas is sitting here, we have another person.
I know, my back was doing.
Obviously Bill is here, so Bill knows we don't want to cut him off either. So do you have anything to say on that?
Well, the state historic tax credits are a new development. It sounds like I would sure want to check out if applying for any grant would affect the ability to work with those tax credits, number one. And I guess, and my real question for Mr. Nisley, I hope I said that right, is the letter of support, are these from the county? Are these matching fund grants? And if so, who's going to match? Who's going to match the funds to
The community, hopefully.
community? Okay.
As well as I've talked to Deborah Geiger over at the my mind just went blank. She was with the foundation. Yes,
She's with HEPID?
not heaven, but
The community foundation, through the,
Yes.
through Greater
Yes.
Manhattan?
Yes, yes. It would, works under the Greater Manhattan Foundation, and so, yes. And so, we're trying to figure out, I'm looking at whether they are matching, and if they're not matching, then I'd be going for those.
Okay.
Matching may be difficult in this town. That's why the tax program might work better. Now, what? If, let's say, the $300,000, how does that work? Does the county get the money, and then the rest of the money is
So basically,
raised by the community, let's say?
basically what would happen is because there's improvements that are happening structurally, you're going to have consultants that are going to come in and say, look, you'll have to have like an architect and a historic consultant that'll say, you're not doing anything to affect the historic nature. But generally in Kansas, that gets down to the exterior. You're not changing a bunch of that. You're keeping the interior, the overall framework of it fairly intact. You're not doing that. You're not doing a bunch there. And also, you're not doing a lot of structural improvements. You may do some for the bathrooms to make them ADA compliant. But if you're just changing out electrical, right, lighting, and seating, those are very limited improvements. Okay. So you're not making a big change to the overall like structure. So it's not that much, but you're going to have some consultant fees. You're going to have to go through the historic designation process. There's some requirements for the labor you use. You have to pay them a little bit of a premium because it's Davis-Bacon. Okay. So you got to use some Davis-Bacon prevailing wage locally. You're probably going to have some people that aren't local that end up having to do some of the work because it's got federal grant and they have to certify. But the reality is that on that project is going to go to the nonprofit entity. Those funds will go to the nonprofit entity. There's a complex structure because basically what happens is that they're taking the value of that, 40% of the value of that improvement, and they're saying for 10 years, we're going to allow you to get that tax abatement. And then they take that value and they sell it on the private market to businesses. And those businesses say, well, I'll buy that for 30 cents today or 27 cents. And I'll make the 13 cents difference. That's how these tax credits work. So you end up taking your tax credits, which mean that whoever holds that tax credit gets a tax abatement. They don't have to pay Kansas income tax. You sell that right to somebody that has a Kansas income tax burden and they give you some money up front. And that's basically how the historic tax credit program works. So you're going to end up with the federal and the state somewhere maybe around 50% of the overall project value. That to you looks a lot like a grant. Okay. And it goes to the nonprofit, but you got to comply with the requirements of what that means. And it's probably going to take your cost and make it 1.5 times what it normally would be. But you've got that, then you've got 50% of the value. Well, you then also have the building, which has value that's contributing to the project, which is probably another 25-30% of the value of the project. So now you're just looking for whatever that remaining portion is. So if your value is, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say that the building's worth 100. I'm just throwing numbers out. So the building's worth $250,000. Let's say that the improvements are worth $300,000 and your contribution to the building worth $200,000. I can't tell you how much the historic tax credit people will allow you to count as the basis of the project. Okay, I'm sounding like a tax lawyer because I'm sounding like forgive me. At the end of that building count, how much you may have to fundraise. You may not have to fundraise much.
So what you're saying is all the in-kind?
Yes. They all go to that contribution. Yeah, so if you have in-kind contributions, working contributions, all that goes to your basis in the project. Yep. You may have a project here that doesn't need a lot of external funding, but you have to work with the Historical Society. That's why these tax credits are there. They're trying to bridge the gap for you.
Does that answer your questions?
No.
All the next steps, call the Kansas State Historical Society. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
on that list, say, I think I want to use federal and state historic tax credits. I don't think I have to redo the whole building. The building doesn't have any debt on it, but I need to use that to try to come up with a whole project that'll let me do the seating and the lighting and maybe touch the bathrooms up so that we can use this long term. Then ask them for help on who to talk to structure it.
Scares me. Said maybe the bathroom, maybe they could line.
Uh-huh.
They're all down in the basement.
I understand.
Quite often on these older buildings, the ADA requirements are
That's what the problem is.
the biggest problem.
But quite frankly, if you're going to try to bring acts in, they're going to want that anyway. All right. It's okay. There's some thought.
Elevator in that building?
I think so. I know there is, but I don't know if it works.
There's solutions around all of these things, but you're going to have a historic consultant and the board to work on it. You may have to have somebody, I'm not suggesting it's me, but you'll have to have somebody that looks at it. Okay. If you can't find anybody else, you can call me and I'll try to send you some names. There's a architect out of Kansas City that runs an architect firm called Veritas. Okay. They do work on historic deals. Okay. If you really want to talk to me about it, you can call. I think you've got my number. I think my number's around. You can call me, but there's another gentleman, Veritas. There's not a ton of us that do it, but putting together something like this is that's probably the best way to go if you're going to try to do it. And there's money to fix like the elevator. There's money that's why these projects are set up. They're trying to get these buildings back into shape. Yeah. Yeah, but look up his name's Veritas Architecture in Kansas City, Kansas. Give him a shout.
Veritas.
Veritas. Nice guy.
All right.
And he's an architect.
Thanks for your time, guys.
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Do you see a lot of interest in this in the community?
Pardon?
You see a lot of interest in this for the community?
Yeah, we had our dinner theater over at the alley. And there were a lot of people that afterwards and after the whole show was over, they said, "Oh, we're so glad to see something coming in." And they hope there'll be more. And I'm going, "No, we really can't do anything in the auditorium. I mean, we could, but it wouldn't turn out like we wanted it. With the lighting and stuff." Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else want to say?
Nope.
So moving on through the agenda. We're down to the payroll. Everybody had a chance to look at the payroll over? The motion that,
I think I asked this question before, but on our salaried employees, Nikki. So why on some salaried employees does it show more than 40 hours in a week?
They're not getting paid for their.
Right.
They're just tracking hours of it.
Okay, so that's falling within the payroll guidelines and whatever, because I just wasn't used to that in the past when looking at payroll. It was salaried. It didn't matter if it was 2 hours or 60 hours, it was still just listed as salary.
Eight times, big time, if they take off, so I was thinking that hours for everything.
Okay, it doesn't happen much. It just happens a couple times when I go through here. Okay. That was my question on payroll.
do you have any comments, Lucas?
I don't.
Your motion accepted.
I make a motion, we accept payroll from, looks like 1/7/2026.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the payroll for 1/7/2026. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed.
The
Right.
project invoice.
Right. So now there's tax change orders. There's like 13 tax change orders that we'll approve. And that gets us to accounts payable for 1/12/2025. Any questions on accounts payable?
I had a question on accounts payable. I noticed, the Masons, there's two entries in there for rent. Okay, so, okay. So I noticed it was for the same time period and I was under the belief that it was just one rent being charged, but they're splitting the two different. Okay,
Trash and all that stuff.
okay. That was the only question I had on payroll. I'm sorry about that. Accounts payable.
So I got a question on the driver's DQ. Is that a yearly fee we pay for that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's for for this year.
Yeah, they ran a report.
And then other question was, when you have something out of the capital improvement fund, like you bought fillers or something, how do we know where that goes to? If it just comes out of the overall capital improvement fund, is it?
I would track it on the spreadsheet. It's fun.
Okay. I didn't see anything on our information that said where it went, but that's it's not a big issue. Any other questions? Lucas?
You good, Lucas?
I don't have any questions. No.
I had a couple things to share.
Okay,
Are we about to adjourn the meeting or
No.
no? Oh, okay, never mind. There's an actions being taken or, okay, I'm sure.
so, okay. So is there a motion to approve the accounts payable?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving accounts payable, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right. You want to speak?
Tammy, do you have something? How you feeling?
Much better.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm gonna be on the other side of the-
Well, that's good. Thanks for your email, Tammy.
You're welcome.
All right, any others? Thing needs to be brought up?
So I just want to clarify with our workshop meetings, Lucas, since you're going to be out of town, our next workshop is the 22nd. Okay. So is that going to cause a problem because we can move it?
No, on to the one.
And our next,
Yeah, well, that's kind of counterproductive, isn't it? I mean, so do we want to move that next workshop meeting till after?
Or you do 22nd, but I think we could easily skip the 29th, meeting on the Thursday.
Yeah. We could do just a quick workshop after the normal meeting on the 22nd thing.
22nd Thursday. We're meeting on Tuesday. Okay. Then that work session on it.
What's your opinion, Lucas? We're lining all these things up right in a row, and like she's saying, it's just obviously she's got to be here and she's got her normal activities upstairs that she needs to be doing.
Right. Well, I can't hear Nikki when she talks. So what you were you discussing having one after the meeting next Monday?
next meeting is Tuesday, right?
We have a meeting on Tuesday, then have a work session on Thursday. And then maybe skip the following Thursday, because we have 2 meetings that week.
Okay. I'm very flexible. Whatever you decide in that room right now, I can go along with. I'll be home. I'll be home on Sunday of this week.
Okay, that's what we'll plan on doing, just have a work session on the 22nd and skip the 29th.
Okay.
And then I know you guys talked about quarterly evening meeting.
Yep.
What do we want to do about that?
Or new what?
So we're talking about the meeting where we want to get together, whether we call it coffee with the commissioners or whatever, but
Oh,
we need a venue for that. What are our options with the county building? Exactly.
Oh, last couple times we did it in the basement of the sheriff's department.
Okay, so we'd have to talk to John and see if that's available. We're talking, the way that we propose those is to try to have one each quarter, so it doesn't have to happen in January. And January is piling up, so I would propose that our first one's gonna be in February anyways.
You can wait for that.
Is that okay with you, Lucas?
It's fine. And as far as,
So then we need to discuss how we're gonna communicate. Get that out to people so people show up, but then also where we're gonna do it at.
I would throw out the Carwell building too as a possible venue. We'd have to speak with the Historical Society,
Right.
but that would be a good place to go to if it doesn't work in the basement of the jail.
I think that building works pretty good. You can hear in that building and it's easy to get to, obviously. So, but we don't have to decide exactly what date today. We're just saying that we're gonna target February for the first one.
Okay.
You, Bill,
that's
That sound
fine,
okay?
that's fine, yeah.
Nikki, how's your schedule look in February there?
I have no idea yet.
Okay,
So, you know,
we don't know yet. We're gonna look at the calendar and see.
what? Don't have a camera.
It doesn't have to be decided today. We're gonna do the first quarterly meeting in February. Yep, okay.
I'm gonna be gone. I'm not, obviously Tuesday, they're not gonna put it on Monday. Maybe, you know, I said the last one as well.
Okay, what do you have, Bill?
I don't. I have no opinion of, I mean, any day works with me, pretty much.
Okay.
We can make it work.
Well, let's get through January and then take a look at it.
Yeah, so. At one time we was doing last meetings of the month, but did we decide that another meeting would be better than the last meeting or not?
I don't know that it matters, just, I have to wait till the last meeting, then like the checks wouldn't get, sent out until the following business day. That's the downside.
So might be better to do it the next last meeting. Is there anything else that needs to be brought up?
Do we need, since we've got a full house there and our county council's present, is there a timeline on this NRP? You know, what we discussed earlier in the meeting, do we have a little time to work on that? Or can we do that in the coming weeks?
I think we can do that in the coming weeks. I actually looked at the state statute. Nikki, you know, it was a good thought to look at the state statute. I think we've got flexibility on how we do it. The NRP is a document that gets approved by the Attorney General's office, if I remember right, as an interlocal agreement because of the types of jurisdictions that go through it. I think that the timing on us, I think we can take our time because there's nothing that says that we have to immediately have this program in place, so we can take a little bit of time to make it right. I could look at it over the next couple of weeks and try to come back with some comments on what to potentially amend. But I do think that there's a distinction between new and new construction and renovation that you have to make. Even if you want to be flexible, you have to make a distinction like that.
Okay, and then the second thing would be, I think this was before you came in, Austin, but our emergency management director is resigning effective February 13th.
Okay.
I guess, do we need to accept that resignation, you know, formally? And then I asked a question about the statutory requirements for that office. I guess I would like to know what the minimum Brown County needs to do to meet statute on that. And if we can do it, somebody mentioned possibly with law enforcement, if we could combine that role with that department. And I don't even know if that's an option, but I heard it mentioned.
I think that there may be some option there. I need to look at, there's some guidelines, it appears, that address out to emergency management, the adjutant general's office looks like they have something here that I could look through. I would tell you that I've been in other jurisdictions where they have a combined Department of Public Safety for areas that I represented a Department of Public Safety, which was actually fire, emergency management, and police all together, and they had one common director of public safety. So there is some potential. We just have to look at what the requirements look like and see if there couldn't be overlap.
It looks
Yeah.
like,
The reason I brought that up, Lucas, is of
Go ahead.
course, there are guidelines that we gotta follow, but to me, it seems like a chance to kind of combine, move it into a department we already have, identify somebody that's already doing a job. And obviously, there would be a raise in pay if they're gonna take on the extra work, but move,
so we're thinking
move
along,
it back into the fire or the police where emergency management usually happens and at least take a look at it.
No, I don't see a reason not to look at some of that. There's they have to do a 5-year exercise plan. It looks like that's part of the I don't see that there's not like it's not like there's a state statute, there's a administrative regulation KAR 56-2 that combines with KSA chapter 48 article 9, so 48-9 and then the stuff that comes after it. It comes through and defines what our responsibilities for disaster and emergency management planning are, right? To my knowledge, and I'm going to have to research this a little bit more, there's nothing that's like a Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center certification for emergency managers. Like people are encouraged to take courses at FEMA. People are encouraged to have that. I think if we have some first responder resource, and then maybe what we do is we take part of that because there is some grant dollars that come with that go to a position, as well as I think some allocation to county funds if it's anything like emergency management in Nemaha. I think you could look at doing some joint allocation there, setting up the resource in the right way and get double usage. I think that could work. I can even go a little bit more into structure. And what we might have to do is help. Maybe this is something that I help with Nikki or with somebody else. I'm not putting more on Nikki's plate to do. Nikki's got plenty to do. But maybe we,
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Go ahead, Austin.
No, maybe we figure out a way that administratively I could help come up with what that 5-year plan looks like, I or somebody else, so that transfers, and then there can be a step up in pay for existing personnel that do the rest of the day-to-day operations. Does that make some sense? Well, and it doesn't have to be me that helps with that. We could find somebody. I'm just thinking of people. I'm not trying to.
Said he's flexible on the date, but are we out of compliance if the current guy basically resigns, and he's given us ample time to find somebody, but on that date that his resignation would go into effect, we don't have somebody within the county, are we out of compliance? Or do we have some sort of leeway where we have some time to?
We have some leeway. We need to have a director of emergency management, but it's like anything else. If we had somebody else resign and gave us no notice, then we would be searching for somebody to fill the role. We've got a little bit of time.
Okay.
Do we want to leave it open without some resolution the rest of this year? No, we need to get something done. We've got some time. We'll be all right. Good question.
Budgetarily, my concern was, and I think you've answered this, we were able to meet this requirement with basically a half of a salary because we spread that over 2 departments. So do you think we can fulfill our obligation by the statute still at that, basically that dollar amount, and potentially if we combine it with another employee's duties, maybe there's actually a budgetary savings there, at least on the county side. But my questions are long and I apologize. On the transfer side, I assume that, since we will be paying a full-time salary out of the transfer station, that has a fairly large impact to that budget. And will we be able to make the necessary changes at this point in time, I guess, given we just signed all this stuff into effect and the new year starts? The short version is, are we going to be okay on this, on the county budget and on the transfer station budget?
You can always amend the budget. It's possibly $500 usually, but you could amend it if it looks like it's not gonna make it on cash side budget. Like figure it out then.
Okay, so the budget can be amended. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we don't go over our expenditure authority, we can amend specific portions of the budget. We just can't spend more money than we have the authority to spend that we did not tax for. Okay.
Well, and when Don came in, and I don't think he intended to do this, but we've had so many things come across our plate here that some of the things at the transfer station, like this BCDS, I thought that was resolved, and I think we did our part, except we didn't communicate again with BCDS that hey, we are sending you this, we're allocating you this money now. That bill will need to be paid by your organization. And again, it's just money. We're still paying the bill. It's just a little different. The mechanics are different, but we've also got some things at the transfer station, like if they're going to support now another, I guess, be half of a full-time employee. And if the landfill, the transfer station is funded entirely by user fees, which he is, to the best of my knowledge, he is absolutely correct. That the documentation I saw in the landfill formation, it is supported and funded entirely by user fees. Now, the county, if they did run short, I'm sure we would be a stopgap and we would plug that hole. But right now, they're not. But do we need to look at certain things like the employee benefits piece of that? Are they truly county employees, or are they employees of the transfer station, which is just under our management? Maybe we need to be looking and digging a little deeper into that part of county, just county functions, because that budget. What I'm concerned is if we got to pay everything with user fees, are we saying that, and are we doing it? I mean, I know we talk about it, but are we in practicality? Are we funding the landfill, the transfer station, entirely by user fee?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's to stimulate discussion for down the road. Well, I'm just afraid, by him coming in here and we have to do things a little different, which is fine. It's totally fine. But you know how one thing leads to another. I wonder where this might go. And I just wanted to plant the seed, I guess, that maybe we need to bring this up in future meetings as a discussion topic.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's my bad.
That question is for.
I actually sent a draft over to Nikki earlier. Yeah. Do you want to go through it now, or do you want to wait? We can wait.
What's your time like, Nikki? Are you needing to get back up right now? Okay, why don't we discuss it right now then? Be good.
All right. So what we've got a couple things. Excuse me, I was typing something out here. I didn't want to lose the thought, scheduling something. Something that we have to link up scheduling anyway. Probably you and I coordinate on it. Anyway, the state statute, there's a special provision under state statute that's going to allow us to do this without a notice hearing procedure. It's kind of buried in state statute. There's a separate provision here. I'll even just pull it up here. It's KSA 12-7-44, subpart B. It says the governing body shall provide by ordinance or resolution, we're a resolution because we're a county, for the term of the members of the planning commission and for the filling of vacancies. Members of the commission shall serve without compensation. The governing body may adopt rules and regulations providing for removal of members of the planning commission. So I've done this, whereas planning commissions or boards, they're always a little bit different depending on where you go, and there's different ways that people have done it. But I've seen that usually the best way that this happens is vacancies are done by one person. There's a nomination for a vacancy by one person. Okay. Whether it's the mayor of a city or the chairman of the commission, that's the easiest thing to do. And then it just takes a majority vote of the members of the commission that are present, because that's consistent with the Kansas Open Meetings Act, to approve the appointments of the individuals. So that's how I would set it up. Okay. Then if you really want to remove someone, you can, instead of getting into cause or non-cause, it should just be a majority vote of the members of the commission that they want to remove someone. That's the easiest way to do it, regardless of whether there's a reason or no reason. If you really want to remove somebody, I can tell you that in 18 years of doing this, I think I've encountered one occasion where somebody wanted to remove somebody from a planning commission. It's just not something that we do every day. Okay. Then there is the timing of and who all is appointed. So I looked on our website. I don't have all the members of the planning commission that I could identify from the 3 resolutions. Okay. So we just need to take names and then we can control the timing and the length of appointment. So I would suggest a 4-year appointment that, and not everybody comes off at the same time. This is how it works most other places. You've got people, half of them come off in one rand or range of it. The other half come off in the other. I don't remember how many people, Nikki, are on. There's, okay. So we already have that set up, right? Okay. So whatever that staggering is, we just identify in the resolution. Okay. We put their names, the time when they're coming off, and then it just authorizes the resolution's about 1.5 pages long. Okay. It's not terribly long, but it's set up pretty easily to just do what's under KSA 12744B. And all we really need to do is add in names and term lengths of who these individuals are, Nikki, and then I think we're about there with it.
So do we have just 3 years? After the first, there's 1 year for the first bunch and 2 years for the second bunch, and
I have a
I don't know, 3 years or 4 years.
Oh, this is outstanding.
There's a movie shows up on Monday or something on Nintendo. See.
Yeah, I think if we just add the names and I think it's about, because basically that's what it says. That's really what it does, those 3 things. I don't think I wouldn't do anything more complicated than that. I just kind of leave it fairly. I've been in other places where they've done like, oh, people can make several nominations, each commissioner, and then they try to say, well, who gets the most votes? Well, you're a 3-member commission. All right. Then it becomes a popularity contest. It doesn't make any sense. It's better to just have a list of nominations that go through the chairman of the commission. The commission nominates, and then if everybody agrees, vote on it. It's simple.
Each commissioner picks who in their district and doesn't want it that large.
Oh, is that how it's set up right now?
Right.
Oh, okay. That's easy. Let's stick with that. I'll make that adjustment in this.
And am I correct in saying that the 2 members in District 1 are the 2 that their term basically is expiring or has expired? Okay. So those 2 individuals have to agree whether or not they want to remain on, or we have to nominate 2 more people. Okay, well, I'll go talk to Bill and ask him, he's coming in on Monday, you said? Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll talk to Bill and let him know that the 2 that are currently on there, I believe one of them is thinking about not doing it again. So therefore, we're gonna have to get somebody nominated, and then that resolution will just go forward.
And capital improvement was BJ's box and folders for what item.
Okay.
It's awful.
So it just creates more work for you that you have to go pull that out of there. Basically track where that went, correct?
Megan gives me a little note that says where and what it is.
Okay.
It's not big of a deal, but it's the best way to track it. And you know. So you don't want. There's a link on the website in here because I found the. Position ad that we were in last time in 2019. Pull off. You guys want to look at it. See if that's.
I think we should look at it before it goes back out in case there's any.
Yeah, that's right, no.
Yeah. No, we're gonna. Even if it goes out and we get people in there that apply, we can interview them. They might be the right person. But again, if we can combine it with another, another. Whether it's the fire side of it or the law enforcement side, if it falls within one of their people. I think that'd be a good way to do it. And the way that currently was doing it is the best case scenario. We have one employee that's doing two jobs and we don't create a whole new job for somebody.
Okay, so I've updated some language under subsection B. I'll send this over to you, Nikki. It talks about that if it's a vacancy and the specific planning commission member that represents a district, then that one's the one that makes the nomination. Or if it's a vacancy related to the at-large planning commissioner, then the chairman of the board of the commissioners would make that nomination. So I'll send that over to Nikki before I leave. And then I have a couple of other things. I sent over a revised permanent easement. I had the McJane Farms, and I can't say the name right. Permanent easement. And I went through and I thought to myself about the construction of the bridge and that there may be some future construction. So it's a temporary construction easement, but I just made it, if we ever have to access the site for construction, we still have it. So every time we don't have to go back and get another easement, but it only works when we're doing construction on site. Okay. Rest of the time it is, just the basic road easement. So I've set that up. I sent it over to Tammy. So she has that. I followed up on obviously the right of way resolution, drafted that. I've been doing some correspondence and communication on some of the other issues that are progressing within the county. Don't need to go into any more of that here. I've coordinated back with the sheriff's office concerning the MOU, and it's with the Kickapoo tribe. They asked to meet when I'm not here in town, but I think there may be a virtual meeting, or I'll try to get. Sheriff Merchant's gonna meet with the tribe and see if they have some input that they want back on it. And I think
I'm also meeting with them.
Outstanding. And if you need something, just call me. Even though I'm not going to be there physically, I'll be available by phone. So on my to-do list, there was the easement. Okay, there was a coordinating. I'm doing some work regarding what insurance means. Okay, and what some options look like in terms of. I've started to graph out what it looks like at a 3 to 5 year ratio to understand what would make us so we're not having to absorb premiums. But part of the coordination that's going to happen in the next several weeks is going to make that a lot clearer. And I don't have anything more to report at the moment.
That's health insurance.
Yep, that's on insurance, health insurance for the employees and what that means. Okay, we had some questions last meeting about right-of-way usage, things crowding the right-of-way versus not. I've looked into that. We could have a right-of-way permit process. I've got an example from a couple of other communities that I've used. So I could bring that back if we want to talk about that at a future meeting.
How does that work though for agencies like, for instance, your power companies, your railroads that have?
Yeah,
they kind of have carte blanche.
So what we did in, I'm going to go to Cheney for this as an example, Cheney Kings. What we did was they have to get a permit. Okay. Doesn't mean that they're not gonna be allowed underneath, like, there's specific things that are. And there's like a list of things underneath the Cheney permit process, if you will. Okay. They don't get to, we're not telling them that they can't use the public right of way.
Right.
Like the public utility providers, the electrical company, they're gonna be able to use the
Gas
public right.
companies.
Gas companies, they're gonna use, and we don't want them not to. We
Sure.
want people. But what we're saying here is that we're coming up with these requirements. Here, the city administrator. Submission of an application, designated project commencement. Coordination with existing facilities, proper restoration or protection of the public right of way.
Which is all happening already.
That's right. So what they do, like Evergy does this in every large municipality. There's gonna be maybe not every large, but in every significantly sized municipality, they file a permit. They say, this is our project. Evergy has engineers that are engineering their project. They just give us that information that they already have. We check it off. Okay. When we get into the railroad does the same thing. The railroad's got, but what this does is, hey, and this is really where it comes in, where we have to consider whether or not we want it. Hey, I want to directionally bore under the road to put some type of a line, and I'm not a major utility. Okay, people want to do this. Sometimes they're like, hey, I got to move from my field over here and I want to directionally bore underneath the road.
Right.
Something like that. That's not all bad. Okay. Also, we had the conversation about where things are placed in the public right of way. We get into a thing. Easiest way I can say it is distributed antenna systems. They're a technology that goes with telecommunications. There's a whole hot mess of a Telecommunications Act that's like 5 pages long. Underneath state statute, it basically boils down to, you can say, hey, we don't want this to interfere with our public utilities here, but you're not preventing it. That's basically what this does. We're not preventing anybody from doing anything. We're just saying you have to get a permit and pay a fee if we're going to go out and inspect it. Okay. Why is it important? Idea Tech did a lot of work years ago, and they still do some. That has this problem. But a lot of years ago, when they were coming up with the first directional boring for fiber optic gigabyte, oh, that was a hot mess. You'd hit all kinds of pipes, right? And so what we would say in the right-of-way process is, okay, great, give us a bond that says, hey, $25,000 if you hit in case to correct property damage. For them, it was like maybe $250, it could be $1,000 to get this bond, depending on whether they'd had it before. But they got a bond. It was specific to the project, and it protected the other people that are in the right of way. It protected our right of way infrastructure. Now, anything more than that, we're not a city, so we don't have a lot that sits in the right of way. We don't operate our own electrical utility. We're not a rural water district. Like, our limitation of what goes in that right of way is very limited. So we probably don't even care about a bond, but we do care about knowing what's placed in our right of way so that we can maintain our roads.
I think the one thing that's come up a couple times so far is it appears that there are some locations where now Evergy is placing their new poles or they're going in and putting either new poles or they're upgrading the system with there. And they've located their poles closer to the curb returns than before. And I've had 2 people mention that it's creating problems with the bigger equipment getting around that curb return. So the whole idea is to be able to just, again, meet with Evergy, explain the problem we have. We're not looking to tell them what they can or can't do, but we need to basically get an agreement that we don't want them placing it within so many inches of the curb return, if we can do that. And before we do that, we have to understand the background. What is our right to tell them?
That's right. And basically we can manage our right of way in a way that allows them to do it, but they can't interfere with our stuff. Right. So we come through there and say, look, guys, we love you. Move these curb returns back so we don't hit them.
Right.
Boom.
And I think that's what we're trying to do. But before we do that, we want to know, I want to know before you meet with them, what we legally have the right to say. And because again, if we have a good relationship with them and we can get something drawn up that in Brown County, we don't want, whether it's a power pole or anything, we don't want to get within so many inches of the curb return. So the farmers with bigger planters can get around the corner on some of these country roads.
And I
That's what
think,
it's all about.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think what you might be able to do is I can give you this right of way permit process. This is the, we don't have a sledgehammer, but we do have a ballpoint hammer.
Yeah.
Right, on it. And so now if you're meeting with them, right, where you're saying, hey, we just need to set this and this here, and we can do a right of way permit process that we basically allow you, provided you don't do these things that are adjacent to our road. And then they don't even have to necessarily pull a permit. We could automatically issue them one.
Right.
This gives us some ammunition to get them to comply. Because without a permit process, there's no enforcement.
Well, most of the time, if you go into your bigger counties, your bigger agencies,
Yeah.
they have a set of standard plans and specs.
Mhm.
Most of the time they do.
Yep.
A lot of times it's been cut and pasted from the state
Yep.
or your larger counties, but Brown County doesn't have something.
Well, we have some kind of permit.
No, we don't. So in other words, if somebody comes in and builds, yeah,
That's why it's go out.
right, and that's basically. They're gonna agree to do, to locate all utilities, and if the
Yeah.
utilities are damaged, they're gonna replace them. We're talking about like actual set of standards or plans that say, this is how we want our curves to look, this is how we want our roadway to look. We don't have that, and I'm not saying we ever will.
Yeah, but there's something in between though. Richard,
Something in
that
between,
you're-
exactly.
Where you're talking about, hey, we want this stuff to be set back this far.
Right.
We want, because it gets into what we were talking, you remember the issue we had over in Fairview about where things, yeah, we're gonna give somebody an easement. And that was a specific circumstance because they're getting a separate easement and they're not in our right of way. But we want to have the ability to say, hey, you need to set your poles back this far within our right of way. Oh, excuse me. So I would suggest maybe we look at terms of a basic right of way permit process that we just put on there. We can even issue them automatically, but they get the ability to, we're now setting terms for what they're going to naturally do. And we're doing it in a collaborative way, so it's not like we're not preventing anybody from doing business. We're just saying, hey, move this back 4 feet. If that's, I think the right of way permit gives you the ability when you're meeting with them to say, this is our stick.
Part of this discussion, guys, if I could interject too, because
Yeah.
you've really covered the utility side. Part of my concern is how do we protect county road right of ways from, even things as simple as property encroachment, controlled water drainage, things like that. I would like to see the county establish a policy for their roads that includes, not only the utilities, buried and above ground, but also very similar like the state does, where, we have a hard stop. And the state, if you dump a tile line in a state ditch and you don't have a permit for it, they basically, you just can't do it. And I hear some complaints from our road and bridge department about controlled water drainage going to a county right-of-way road ditch, which essentially fills it with silt and creates problems for the county road department. And I don't want to be a nasty person at all, but we do need to protect the right-of-ways. Just even something simple like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that can all be part of the right of way permitting process because we should do what it really controls is how people work in our right of way on the side. So yeah, all of it comes in. And it's
Even
also
Austin, even something as simple as the field, I know there's an intersection south and west of town where, and I'm a farmer, so I can say it, that the farmer is putting that planter in the ground way too soon. And the field has almost gotten to the edge of the road, and it's a visibility and a safety issue. We need, and in the past, our guys have mowed crops off, to establish the county right of way, so people can see at least a little bit better at that intersection. Can we do something to, again, not to be nasty, but to just reassert that, hey, that's part of the county's road structure, road infrastructure, and we're gonna reclaim it, or we're gonna put a boundary on it.
this is exactly the other half of the right of way permitting process because it's also some stick. Hey, if you don't comply with it, it's actually a little misdemeanor. Not that we're charging people often for not complying, but if people don't listen, we then send them a letter that says, hey, you're farming in our right of way. This is for the road. And come on, give us the 10 feet that we need to. So don't plow there, put the disc in after that. That's basically what we're talking about. So yeah, no, that works. And I would suggest that we do that within the right of way permitting process. I think that makes the most sense. I also went back and did some research on how we do road vacation. Okay, because we had that issue from November 17th. November 17th, the road vacation issue.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I went back and did some research, and under state statute, it's more of a pain in the neck if he provides us a petition. We have to go out, we have to view it, we have to do all this crap and appoint 3 disinterested people to do the viewing of the road. Where if we just make a decision as a commission that we think that it's no longer supported by public health, safety, welfare, we provided notice under state statute, KSA. No, I've got it up. It's in the document. Anyway, I prepared the notice necessary. 68. Let's see here. It is. Hold on one second. Sorry, everybody. KSA 68-102. Okay, it allows us to do this. 68-102A says that we put a notice in the newspaper and we send a copy of this notice to the adjoining landowners. And then the commission makes a determination that the road's no longer a public utility. It's really not being used. And the necessity for such a road does not justify the expenditure of necessary funds to repair the road or to put the same in condition for public travel. And then you just vacate it. Okay, and so I put on 3 lines how we would describe what that road is. So just describe whatever road it is by number and the area in between the 2 areas that you want to discontinue or vacate the road. You use this notice, and then I'll come up with a resolution after we define what that area is so that we can consider it and adopt it at a subsequent meeting. I think that it's KSA 68-102 that requires what that notice looks like. And I'm just giving you the dates of how long it takes.
When a road is vacated, does the property revert back to the landowner on each side?
Yep.
Okay, so in this instance, he wants to build a fence. And so that'll answer every question. If we chose to go this way or go this way. Okay. All right.
He'll build his fence and the owner of the property on each side. So it goes right to the middle. The owner on one side takes to the middle, the owner on the other side takes to the middle, and it's as if the road never existed.
If part of that was it looked like a path, somebody used it for a field entrance or pasture whatsoever. How do we maintain that, I guess, or does that just go away?
It's gone.
Okay.
And that's part of our consideration. We don't really need to reserve that as like a public walkway. If we're gonna
So what's the quickest way to make it happen?
put this thing in the paper and send a certified copy of the notice out after we do this.
Okay.
We just publish it in the paper, and then after it's published in the paper, say, look, we're going to publish it in the paper, and then at the next meeting after that, we do it. That's
Okay.
it.
So, Nikki, we have to publish it in the paper. So she's gonna,
Yeah, so we describe the portion of the road, and I emailed a Word copy over it to Commissioner Richard and Nikki. Okay, but basically we describe the portion of the road. The quickest way to do it, we describe the portion of the road, send it to the paper, immediately send certified mail copies of it to the people that are affected on either side of the road. Say, hey, we're going to consider the resolution to vacate this thing at the next meeting after its publication. So if we get it to the paper, I don't know what their deadline is, but whatever is we just set the meeting for the date after the first meeting after they do it, and then you're done.
do you have enough information, Nikki, for the people? Obviously, we know the guy that's trying to vacate.
I don't know.
Okay, that's my question, is how do we get her the proper legal description?
I need it from him. I need to know what point to what point he wants to vacate the road. Okay, if he gives me like, this is I'm just using an example, M Road between 1,500 and 2,000, whatever it is, right? If he tells me that, I can put it into one line in 3 minutes and she can publish it, mail it out to and then we can find.
Is that gonna require a survey?
No, he just needs to tell me in between we're not, normally, if he's doing the petition, absolutely. This is the least expensive way possible. And it's better if he does it between two section lines. So if it's between one section and the other, right, or at the end of the road, if it's like, I want to vacate M Road between 1,500 and 2,000, vacate it between there, and that's the easiest thing to do. This is, and by him not filing the petition, I did that so that we would avoid the assessor, hundreds of dollars of cost. This is a free option other than for the county to pay for the publication.
Okay.
So have you been to the location, Bill?
Yeah, on the east side of the creek. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have to get with him and get out there and make sure that we're getting the proper description.
So
Yeah.
the driveway partway down.
So figure out whether it's and just measure it informally. Say, we're going to do 400 feet west. I'm just west of the intersection of this road and this, all the way to where this.
Can we use the
Travel.
center line of the nearest road?
Yep.
Okay.
You don't have to survey.
They like 400 feet from this road to the creek?
Yeah. If you say, well, not to the creek, you need to
Okay.
give me some other road. Or does it just go to the creek?
It goes. If the road went through there, it'd go across the creek. It's not had a bridge on it for years and years and years.
Can it go beyond the creek to the next road that we vacate to?
Then I think maybe that road comes down Wake. I've never been on that road. I mean, I haven't.
Look at it. If we got to just go to the creek, I want this gentleman to have to spend $0. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get it so that.
So
he doesn't
we can measure from the other side back so far.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would work.
All right. We'll try to do that way. Okay. So, and if you just tell me that it's the M Road, whatever road it is, M Road from 500 feet west of 1,500 Road, all the way to 600 feet east of 2,000 Road, that's enough. And we'll just do it from that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Is that clear? So you can get the dimensions, we can get those to Nikki? Okay.
Yep.
I just want to move it along and.
No, we need to get this done.
So.
That's why, and so we've got that. If we get it to Nikki, then we can go from there. If you send that, that'd be good. I also need to go out, on February 2nd after the meeting and take photos of wherever that we're going to do the bridge. I need some dimensions on the bridge because I'm going to meet with the bridge people like February 11th, 12th. And so I need to get the dimensions and some photos of what we need for our test bridge. So we can try to get some pricing back on that. And I don't know, that's like 6 or 7 items. I didn't have anything else, but I may have missed something on my list. Is there anything I'm missing?
I don't know the number of the bridge. There's a bridge up in the Irving Township that the expansion, basically the tension rods have all broke. She has all the information. She has the picture of it and everything. Yeah. I went out and looked at it and I just don't remember the actual number or name of it.
No, that's good. I just want to look at it and get some information so I can be informed when I meet with these people as a pilot for their technology. Anything else for me?
Do we need a response to that letter received this morning in the email?
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now, actually. Hold on.
I didn't send it in together because I don't even know if you have to respond. Well, so.
No.
Okay, then I would ask, do we need, last week we talked about on this NRP, the property west of Horton that may have been a former potential prison site. Did did that ever get cleared up as far as the exemption part in the NRP?
I don't even know how to, I don't really get that exemption now. It looks like it's sold and split 3 ways, but I don't know how to update the meeting.
I guess,
I can remove it from the map. That's no big deal, but as far as the exhibit, I don't know.
well, was any contact made with Horton? And what I'm asking, if there wasn't, and that's fine, would it be helpful maybe for me to call the mayor and ask if that still, needs to be exempted, or do we just go on status quo?
You could ask him.
Okay,
I can send you the map where it shows exactly what it used to be.
okay. Okay, well, I'll call him then. If you send me that info, I'll call him and I'll have something hopefully by next meeting.
So I want to, without getting into specifics regarding a letter though, there's a letter that came through and I just need to be direct about how property transfers and taxation work in the United States. We have a process. People, since we became a state, have been getting property deeded to them through deeds from the federal government. All of this property here was originally given as a grant because this territory, people were given the ability to go to this territory and settle it, and then they homesteaded it. And unless you were a railroad, which got a grant of legal right out of the federal government to go on ahead and establish towns along the side, right? And then they sold that land off. So a lot of the towns that you see on the railroad, you get original deeds. Otherwise, this is homesteaded land. Most of the farmland is homestead. My family homesteaded back in the 1850s. It's great. Somebody bought or sold property, that transaction can happen. And if they want that to be respected, that gets recorded with the Register of Deeds office. Okay. There's a question about that came in a question in terms of federal land patents. That's part of the description that's in this letter. Well, when federal land came, these are land grants. Then the property, after they farmed it, they perfected their interest in the property. And that land interest carries with the owner. They can sell portions of it like they do with oil and gas rights, but to sell it or perfect it and to put the world on notice, that gets handed over to the Register of Deeds. So the Register of Deeds, even on this one other example that we're talking about, the former federal prison or state prison site, whatever that is, if that's not recorded properly in the Register of Deeds and we have to do something, there is a court process that clears that up. That's a petition to quiet title. I've done them before as a lawyer, but you file a petition that says, I should own this land and here's why. And then a court issues a deed to clean that up. So the question in a letter, which was removing land transactions, what that means, we're not doing any of that. We respect what is filed with the Register of Deeds office as to who owns land or what owns it. We don't get involved in it unless we have some interest in it. Usually land transfers and no government is involved in it to private people. That's it.
Do we need to lend any support to the treasurer's office in any way? Or
So there's a question about taxation. All right. Whoever the registered owner of a piece of ground is has to pay property tax. Okay. There is a question about whether we as individuals, whether we can be sovereign citizens and declare that I don't have to pay property tax in the context of I don't believe that I am a citizen of the United States or a citizen of this county, that I am a sovereign individual, right? That's not really what the U.S. Supreme Court said. The U.S. Supreme Court said that if you're in the United States, you're subject to its laws. Now, were we born here? Yes. Did we sign a sheet of paper that says that we're subject to laws? No, but we live here. And the U.S. Supreme Court has said that because of that, we get to regulate for public health, safety, and welfare as a government. we regulate, and the state of Kansas uses its power as the authority to promote public health, safety, and welfare to say that we collect certain taxes to pay for infrastructure. People pay for infrastructure because it costs money to grade a road and it costs money to run a county, and the county provides most of the services that people touch. And so a majority of what they pay in taxes gets distributed out to all of the citizens amongst the county. So if somebody doesn't pay their property tax, it's just a burden to go after that goes on everybody else's property tax. And eventually, after 4 years of not doing it, you go to a property tax sale and the land gets foreclosed on. So that's the easiest way to back up. If somebody wants to challenge the ability legally for the state treasurer, for the county treasurer to collect tax authority, they can file a lawsuit and we will fight it in court on behalf of the county treasurer's office. And I guarantee you that if it is anything like the other lawsuits that have been filed in this vein by individuals pro se or not, we will win.
So I guess, Austin, as a way to show, how can we support the treasurer's office as someone who works, under their own authority, but in the commissioner's courthouse, for lack of a better term? Can we send a letter? Can we send a letter to this person that says, hey, schedule a meeting with us. We can talk when our county counselor's there. And
we could even do one further than that. We could schedule a meeting, or quite frankly, you can just give them my information, my telephone number, and they can call me directly. So they don't even have to wait. They can call me. That way the treasurer doesn't have to get involved. The treasurer's job is to collect tax. And if they don't want to pay tax, then after 4 years, they're going to lose their ground. And I'm happy to go on ahead and explain that. But usually people decide that they would rather not lose their ground, even if they do believe that they are independently sovereign. That's why.
So then a response to this letter is appropriate. How do we, is this something, do you want to send the man an email and then into the meeting? I think we understand.
Yeah, I would. What I'll do is, I don't have his email address, but I've seen his letter. I don't think he has an email address. That's part of the issue, Chairman, is that I don't think there's a way that I can write something to him.
Okay.
He didn't even provide a return address in his letter. He did say he didn't describe the address of the property that he refers to. And so what I can do is I can tell the treasurer, whatever property this refers to, you can give this man my contact information. He can call me.
Okay.
And then if he has questions, then I'd be happy to explain to him.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lucas, have you been involved in this? at all?
No.
Bill, have you been involved?
He's done this before, yeah.
Okay, so.
He's been not wanting to pay taxes for a long time. So
It's important to me as a commissioner, I guess, we're supposed to be the point of contact. And it seems like so many people that work in that courthouse take all the heat, and it's just misdirected. And I just want people to come to us. Come to us. And I appreciate you sending him, trying to get in contact with him, Austin, because if he's frustrated, if he's got a beef, don't go to the treasurer. She can't do anything about it anyway. Come to us.
That's why I was suggesting that instead of her, I could send something in writing, but that's not gonna, if he calls me, a lot of times people want to be heard. I can listen to him. I'm happy to say, look, I've heard what you have to say, but I can't change the laws of the state of Kansas. And unless you want to move, they're going to enforce them because they don't have any choice. It's not a discretionary thing. So anyway, that's enough. That's all my items, other than I need to start, when we get more information on the insurance, we'll start mapping that out, what that looks like for employee insurance and some of the other stuff. I'm anticipating when we get more information on road and bridge, we'll start doing like a 5-year. I can help with that, Richard, if you want me to. We can work on it together and tackle that.
Okay.
That's all I got for now, guys.
anything else? Lucas, anything else?
I'm done. Thank you.
Mickey?
No, I'm good.
Hey, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn.
Hey,
All in
Bill, just a little discussion. going back through the agenda, did we actually? I didn't put it on my notes here. Did we approve the last item, the accounts payable?
The accounts payable? We did that,
We did, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Then that's all my discussion.
and we have tax change orders to sign, and I think that about covers everything. Okay,
All right.
it's been moved and seconded, we adjourn, all in favor?
I,
Aye,
Aye.
meeting adjourned.
See you later.
take care, Lucas.
All right, goodbye.
Thanks for calling in. Nikki, do you have the change orders?